All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my weekly review for this week's episode of The Walking Dead Season 10. This is for episode 7. It is called Open Your Eyes. Oh man, so pretty crazy episode tonight, guys. If you saw this one, if you haven't yet, big time spoiler warning, and there is, I would say, a major character death in this episode. So this is our second last episode for The Walking Dead Season 10's first half, and I would say this one, man, was crazy. This one features one of the biggest twists the Walking Dead series has maybe ever done. You know, The Walking Dead, if you look it through and you look at each season, there aren't too many kind of major twists like that as you go through it. They don't usually do that very often, but I thought this one was crazy. I mean, the way that they used Dante and Sadiq and the whole situation at Alexandria that we've kind of been seeing through, I mean, that's about as epic as you could make a storyline for those characters, considering that, you know, Sadiq is a couple season character now, Dante's a brand new character, and you know, I mean, they totally mess with us. If you guys didn't know from the comic book series, Dante is a good guy. He's a really, really good guy. He comes in. Eventually, he's a love interest for Maggie. I think we can probably rule that out right now. That's never going to happen. And we see in a huge twist in this episode that Dante is, in fact, a whisperer, and absolutely brutal fashion. It's even kind of foreshadowed at the beginning with kind of the arm coming over and stuff. And for those of you guys who, well, let's just say it, right? So Dante kills Siddiq, right? And it's revealed that Dante is a whisperer. And he was there when the Red Fair was taking place. He was there when Alpha was lopping heads off, and there's all kinds of kind of flash scenes in this episode that we get a sense of, and I think that they did this in really brilliant fashion, because what they basically did was they put us in the situation there and understood how painful it was for Sadiq to see what he had to see, especially with like Enid, you know, being a like younger girl and stuff like that, and the others. And him having trouble keeping his eyes open because he's wincing, he's squinting. They basically surrendered at that time, and I guess they were just overpowered, and they just, you know, I mean, if you think about it too, if you remember with Daryl and Carol and the others, they actually surrendered at a point too, right? And Alpha kind of let them go, but clearly in this case with the Pikes, this was not a situation where, you know, Sadiq and the others were let go. Only Sadiq was allowed to survive and just because I guess Alpha wanted him to watch what she was doing so he could kind of spread that fear and tell the others in the communities. And I guess, I mean, it freaking worked, right? So in this one, we find out the dude, or at least this is what it looks like, the dude, the guy whisperer that was holding Sadiq's eyes open when he had to watch was Dante, and so we get the sense that Dante is the whisperer mole. So rear naked choke is what we see in this one in brutal fashion. You know, Dante kind of approaches Sadiq and sort of is kind of Sadiq is getting very close, if he hasn't already, or he's kind of figured out what's going on and with the whole water thing and everything, and he's starting to lose it. I think we get the sense that he didn't tell anybody about that before he was, well, I guess at the end here we're to assume that we're seeing Sadiq's death scene, right? Because if you guys think like a rear naked choke is it's very basic, you know, maneuver. I mean, kids in grade school can do it. Like when I used to wrestle with my buddies, we do, you know, different headlocks, chokes, things like that. It's very basic. You just squeeze, basically. I mean, you just get it under. Maybe you get it under the chin, or you kind of you can push the head forward, but it doesn't take. It's not. There's almost no technique to it. It's about as so you're just choking the person, basically. And that's what Dante gets him into, and I guess was able to overpower Sadiq. And I just felt so horrible watching this one to ever dislike Sadiq, because I thought, man, A.B. Nash did such an amazing job in this episode. He absolutely killed it, and I feel so awful. I was like, I don't like Sadiq. So it's like, oh man, I mean, he's such a victim in this case, and even in this situation where he tries to fight back against Dante, he's just kind of overpowered by somebody who I guess is in the know ahead of time, and the Whispers are so savage and so brutal that they're like animals, right? I mean, they're people, but they're like freaking animals. And so when Dante kind of goes after Sadiq in this one at the end, he's unable to kind of defeat him, even though it looks like he's almost close to grabbing something or getting something. But he's just overpowered by Dante. So this one is one of the craziest twists in the whole series. I like when he clicks his tongue. It was set up from the very beginning of the season. If you guys didn't see, there was a part where Sadiq was staring at Dante's mouth and his lips and the way they were moving, and Dante says to him, "Shit, kiss me already," to counter it. Maybe kind of worrying that Sadiq may recognize him as one of the Whispers that was there. But it wasn't until basically right now, at this very last part, where Dante decides to kind of let him know with the clicking of his tongue at that time, to kind of refresh his memory and kind of let him know who he is and kind of show him his true face, or show him his mask, before he eventually, seemingly right afterwards kills him. We do get the sense that I would get the sense, at least from watching the episode, that Sadiq is dead. I mean, is it possible Dante could release the choke at that point and he'd be able to survive? Yeah, but you can kind of see the way they do it, that it's starting to, I don't know if you call that hemorrhaging, or the veins start to pop, or whatever, kind of brutal to even think about. But it's very true that if the person doesn't release that choke, that no one is there to help them, then that's it. So I just find the Whispers to be an absolutely terrifying group to mess with. I mean, even getting to see Dante in this one, like, you get the sense that not only is Alpha like the most savage, freaking brutal, like bitch you'd ever want to deal with. Then you have Beta too, but then there's all these other kind of, well, now we have Dante also, Gamma, Gamma's kind of going the other way, and all these other Whispers there that are all living on the land for years on end, using their hands all the time, so they're strong as shit. They're not like just like us, like regular society. They're using their hands all the time. They're out moving around. They're using their bodies all the time, and so they're all pretty much strong for hand-to-hand stuff. And they're just freaking absolute savages, man. Oh my god. So this episode was also directed by Michael Cudlitz, who of course played Abraham in The Walking Dead. And he's quickly becoming one of my favorite directors for the series now, for the current kind of active directors. He's also directing an episode of, I think, The Walking Dead Universe, which is the third Walking Dead series. And he just does an amazing job, man. The way that they show the eyes and everything, and the way that they kind of put it in there to kind of see the twist and to let you kind of figure out that there's, to put two and two together for Sadiq. And when Sadiq kind of realizes it right at that moment, Dante just has to kind of let him know before he does it. I thought he might push him out the window or something like that just beforehand, when you start to kind of figure out what's happening and everything, and kind of start to figure out that the theory was correct. So the way the theories went this year is, first we thought maybe Sadiq was an inside mole and that he had surrendered to Alpha and he was giving information to her in exchange for his life. But we find out that no, Sadiq is just a pure victim in this case, 100%, and that Dante is the one who actually was doing it. Also, before that, Dante had poisoned the Whisperer who had been taken into Alexandria by Carol, and then of course killing Dante at the end here, and also Cheryl, who's one of the older women at Alexandria, who's super sick. And we see her actually die at this one, and then we see Dante actually burying her, which is a bit kind of suspicious considering that he killed the Whisperer guy on purpose, poisoned him with hemlock, is that what he said? Yep, and kind of just tries to blame it on Sadiq, and I guess maybe even Sadiq doesn't even realize it because he's kind of been out of his head with everything that's been going on, his PTSD and stuff like that. But it brings into question, like, did Cheryl just die naturally, or did Dante kind of give her something and put her out of her misery? Has Dante been actually helping anybody there? I guess maybe when he needs to kind of blend in and kind of act like he's a doctor and he's doing his thing. But you got to question, like, at the same time, he's kind of helping them, but he's a Whisperer, so he's sort of like in between. So it's kind of like he's masking it to act like he's helping everybody as a doctor this season, when really he probably could care freaking less if any of them survive at all, and actually may have been tasked with poisoning and been a part of the whole plan to begin with, and not really have significantly really have helped anybody, just kind of allowing them to die, or maybe even possibly aided in further and poisoning them if unsuspected, and if given the opportunity, considering we see in this one that he's clearly loyal to Alpha. Man, so they even played the Walking Dead comic fans in this one, because comic fans are going in. This is how brutal Kang is, right? So comic fans are going in thinking, oh, Dante's so cool. He's going to be this, he's going to be a great hero in the future and all this stuff. He's going to be an awesome addition to the show. He's going to be all this stuff. And then we find out that the TV series version of him absolutely is not. And nobody would really suspect that he's a whisperer. But when you trace it back to the premiere episode, you see his mouth moving. It's like, yeah, they set it up. They set it up from the beginning, man. So I like the fact that the theory was correct. I like the fact that we had some idea ahead of time that he could be. And then we got to find out in this episode that he was. So for Siddiq, man, I mean, I really love what they did with him this season. I mean, not them killing him off, but just kind of the amount of sympathy that you get for him, because at first we weren't sure whether or not we could really trust why Alpha allowed him to live, but obviously it was sort of a way it was useful to her to allow him to live rather than just killing him too. So he's got the survivor's guilt, he's got the PTSD that he's dealing with all season, and then finally now, once he finally figures out what the hell's going on here, he's killed by basically his assistant, or the man who's been kind of helping him all throughout. And man, it's just so savage and so brutal. So I thought everything in this episode with the twist and all that was absolutely incredible. I thought the way it was done was incredible. And, most people probably would have never seen it coming. We've been thinking there's a spy. We thought Enid was a spy at first. Like 4 years ago. I thought she was a spy for the Wolves. That was a theory back in, what is that, like 2000 and I don't know how many years ago would season 6 be, like 2015, 2016, this type of, or 17, that type of time frame. It was like a long running theory that Enid was a spy. It's like, no, she's not. But it's funny that Dante is. And he's damn, he's a good one at that. So I'm wondering now if Dante's gonna maybe split. Maybe it's time for him to kind of escape Alexandria, get the hell out of there. And just disappear. We'll have to see, I guess, before he leaves what he's going to do. But man, really, really crazy stuff. He certainly was an inside man in this case. He silenced the whisperer that they had. I think I like that. He silenced the whisperer that Carol had captured. He has kept a lid on the whole water thing and what's actually causing people to be sick. And now he's killed really one of the most important people in the entire community, especially this time when you have illness going around, in killing their doctor with Sadiq. So he has absolutely sabotaged the group. So Alpha and the Whisperers have successfully taken down, I guess, the kingdom. Now, the kingdom may have fallen anyway, but they did take down the kingdom in a way. They were definitely involved with that, and that group kind of disbanding. And now Alexandria is absolutely in just brutal shape compared to what they were. They're just so beaten down, and now you got people sick, and your doctor's dead. This other guy was an inside man from the Whispers and everything. It's just they're weakened so down to the point where it's really unbelievable. It really feels like our group of survivors has probably never faced anything like the Whisperers before. Wow. So yeah, probably the most brutal group of villains the Walking Dead series has ever seen. Just crazy stuff. So. All right, the other stuff in the episode we should get into, but certainly leave your comments about all that stuff below. How are you guys feeling about Sadiq now? I mean, him just being such a pure victim of the whole thing. I almost feel bad for even thinking that he may have been some kind of inside man or something like that, especially after that. Wow, so brutal, man. Sucks, man. Really. So bad. I hate Dante so much. That's that son of a bitch. I hate the TV series version of Dante. He's like the most hated character ever right now, man. That was so awful, man. Oh my god. So we start the episode off, open your eyes. You have Cheryl being super sick. Rosita also looks terrible, but later on it looks like she's starting to get maybe a bit better as she jumps in the water after Sadiq and kind of pulls him out, kind of rescues him from him maybe trying to commit suicide or whatever he was trying to do at that point right there. She takes him out anyway, and supports him and tells him that he's going to pull through. And he is, like I said, he's the only he's if you look at if you take Dante out of the equation, he's one of the most important people in all of Alexandria because he's their doctor. And you got to have at least one doctor. Dante's probably going to peace out now, so. Well, he was never on their side anyway, so we can't count him. He's a negative. He's like inside against you, right? So then we got the water and the montage and everything. So I hated the opening music. I got to be honest with you guys, I absolutely hated it. But we don't know why is one of the lines in the song. And even though I don't like the style of music. It's just a personal taste of mine. It's not my deal, right? You know what I mean? So, but it was used well because one of the lines was "We don't know why," and you see the water all the time, and it was kind of frustrating to watch it through because you see these people like they're all sick, and then they're like pouring the water. And there's all these different scenes like Rosita and the others. They're pouring the water, like, oh, here's some water, and then they drink the water. And then nobody knows it until later on when Sadiq finds out. He's like, I don't get it because they don't live together. They're not this, they're not that. They're not eating the same thing. And then he sees the water, and you know what I mean? It's like, oh my God. So how did he tell Rosita, man? He knew right away. Instead, he freaks out and goes crazy and everything. And then Dante knows he knows and then goes after him. So, man, it was just so frustrating to watch the episode through when we know it and they just don't know it, and they're just like, it's like, oh my God, they're like pounding it back, and they focus on everything. It was so frustrating to see, man, absolutely. So we get the arm coming around and Alpha at the door, right? So he's kind of looking around and stuff, and he's kind of fading in and out, and then he sees her there, and then not there. And the intro with the arm part, and then they obviously come back to that at the end, considering what was going on. And it's so brutal because it's like the same thing that Dante did to him before. Like, it's the same hold, right? It's just like a rear naked choke type of hold that when he was opening his eyes, forcing him to watch, he did the same thing, and then now afterwards, he literally kills him with the same move, I suppose, or it's simple, but the same kind of wrestling or the same thing that he did when he was holding him there to make him look. He now used the same tactic, the exact same move to actually kill it. It's, oh man, so brutal to watch this one through, and it's so dark, man. I just feel so bad for Dante. So they set it up at the beginning with the arm coming around, and I thought it was weird when I saw it. I was like, that's freaking weird. But certainly when you see the end, it's like, oh, that makes, oh my God, oh, this sucks. Oh, I feel so bad. It sucks. You have Daryl and Lydia, and so I'll try to move on from the Sadiq and Dante stuff, even though I thought it was amazing all the way through. So Daryl and you have Lydia, and I love the way they use Lydia in this one, and for Gamma as well. So in this one, we have actually, it's almost like there's a couple turns here, right? So you have Dante, who's revealed to clearly be, not on the survivor's side. He's a brutal, savage, fearsome, I would say. If you kill somebody with your bare hands with no trouble at all. He didn't even bring a knife or looks like or anything that we saw, I think. Usually you think, oh, if he's going to come and kill somebody, bring a knife or something, use that. But I guess he felt comfortable enough that he could do it again because he'd done it before, which is, it's almost like it's worse, you know what I mean? Kill someone with your bare hands like that. It's so brutal, man. But so we have him switching sides, but then we also in this one sort of have Gamma come to a brutal realization, which is that Alpha has absolutely positively lied to her in just the worst kind of way ever. Here you have Gamma, who Thora Birch's character, who fought for Alpha against her own sister because she was that loyal to her, and her sister dies as part of the process, as part of the fight. And then she finds out in this episode that Lydia is absolutely positively alive because she sees her herself. And then she basically she has a breakdown. She has a mental breakdown because she realizes that she just took the side of Alpha in killing her own sister and helping Alpha to defend Alpha. And her sister has died as a result of her actions. And then she finds out now that Alpha didn't even kill her own daughter like she had told everybody, and it was completely a lie, and Lydia is still alive. Also, of course, Lydia crosses the border in this one and hits Carol with her staff and stuff like that. I almost think like, for Carol, it's like, oh no, come back, don't go over there, it's too dangerous, stuff. It's kind of like, oh, don't we just want her to go over there? It's like, hopefully all the Whisperers see her, you know what I mean? It's like going, oh no, come back. It's like, let her. It's like, because then everybody will, if Gamma says it, it's one thing. But what if Lydia just waltzes in and everybody, all the whisperers are like, what the F? And then they start looking at Alpha like, what the F? Because, of course, with Gamma's sister, who gave up her daughter, right, in that type of fashion, now it makes Alpha the biggest hypocrite ever because she didn't kill her daughter and she lied about it in this type of case. So I liked everything they did with that, and I like to see Lydia in this episode with Carol and Daryl as well too. And you have the scene with him and near the beginning there with the scars everywhere, and I just think it's kind of it's just like. It's sort of a representation of everything that Daryl and the others have kind of been through, that he takes his shirt off and you just see all the different scars everywhere, just tons of them, right, from all the different bumps he's taken, falls, whatever, cuts, everything else you can possibly imagine. It's just it's pretty brutal. Plus, the girls will probably like getting to see Daryl take his shirt off, so they'll probably like that scene. Let's see. Lydia's reflecting on having not left with Henry and kind of regretting it. Sort of wishing that she would have, and Carol kind of wishing that she would have too, but it's too late now. You can't go back, Bob. Then we have all this stuff. Okay, Siddiq and Dante, Gamma and Aaron. So we'll give our thoughts on that portion right now. Might as well. So, like I said, I love the part where Gamma sort of finds out that Alpha is not who she thinks she is, and she's a total hypocrite and a liar, and not somebody who really gives a shit about them at all, or is trustworthy at all. Selfish in those ways, and completely. You guys have to understand, from their perspective, for Alpha to allow her daughter to live when she's forcing everybody to do these brutal things and do all this stuff for survival and act like she's so tough and everything like this, for her to do that and then lie about it is just, it completely goes against the whole philosophy that the Whisperers have. So it's really something that goes against everything they stand for. So it's one that if the rest of the Whisperers see Lydia now, Alpha may just lose control of the Whisperers entirely. I would think that she probably would, unless Beta still has her back or something like that. But still, that would be a tough one to overcome if they find that out. So then we have the parts with Aaron and Gamma. I thought they were okay, a little bit exciting near the end there when Gamma kind of pulls the knife on him and stuff. It seemed like he was in a little bit of trouble there, but, Gamma's kind of small and stuff. I don't know. I kind of feel like, well, it was right up. I guess maybe he wouldn't have been able to get out of it. I'm not sure. Maybe he got too relaxed around her and he didn't expect her to pull a move like that. But again, the Whisperers are crafty and they're good with their hands, right? Years and years of being out there in the open. You're going to use your hands a lot and you're going to get strong. Your grip strength and stuff is going to get pretty damn good. So there we go. We've got the parts with Rosita and that. Let's see, all the water stuff. That was kind of crazy when Daryl was almost going to cut the Whisperer's fingers off. That was pretty bad. I did get the sense that he would do it. And also with Carol, I liked it first because she gives him the nice side, and she's making him good food and stuff like this, and then he spits it on her, which was just distasteful, right? And then Daryl kind of comes in. I like when she beats him too, right? She beats the crap out of him. So that was kind of cool to see. She's not taking any of his crap either. So, and you have Daryl as well, and Gabriel in there too, who's pissed off. But it allowed them to kind of, I don't know if it really accomplished much with them getting him because, maybe they found out that maybe they'll find out that Dante was responsible for this afterwards. If they find Sadiq dead, they're going to be able to kind of figure it out. Right, Alpha is also in the episode too because she meets with Gamma and does the weird whipping thing that they do with whatever that is, on the wrists and stuff. Which just again, considering what Gamma had figured out later on, probably just makes her even more pissed off that she's doing all this and it's all total bullshit completely. So I think that's pretty much it for the episode. I mean, obviously the big thing in the episode being the focus on Sadiq and Dante and the situation of him being an inside whisperer at Alexandria. So I absolutely loved it. I think most of the audience probably would have never seen it coming. And this episode, we get to see finally kind of everything come to a climax. I feel so sorry for Sadiq, and I do really like him now in kind of this spotlight type episode for him. It's just a shame that it looks like he's dead now. I almost wish, is there a way he could survive? But it's like I don't think Dante's going to allow that, and he's pretty much in the power position right now, which really, really sucks. So in terms of score for the episode, considering it's the second last episode of a first half, it's not a mid-season finale, but it sure as hell felt like one. This was good enough to be a mid-season finale to me, or even a season finale, because we don't get twists like that very often in The Walking Dead, and I thought this one was so great. And they even, like I said, they even tricked the comic readers, because all the comic readers think they're smart at this point and that they know who's who and what the characters are, and they totally swerved them in this one 100%. So I love the twist. I thought it was amazing, and I'm going to give the episode a perfect 10 out of 10. I never thought I could ever enjoy just seeing like inside Alexandria with this type of storyline so much, but and especially with characters that I thought weren't even like A-listers. But I think after this episode, certainly I'd put Dante as an A-list villain right now, and I think I'd put Sadiq as finishing up as kind of at least for his last episode as an A-list kind of hero in this one, and him kind of figuring it out right at the last minute. But the Whispers just being so strong, you just really get the sense that in the last since Rick's gone and everything, and you have the time skips and all that, you just really get the sense that the survivors were not prepared to deal with the Whispers, and that the Whispers were just so savage and so brutal that like even Gabriel's like all pissed off at Carol that she took one of them in to get information. It's like it just feels like they're just not ready, or they're just not in the position right now to deal with this kind of threat. If this had happened back in season 7, and the Whispers came in instead of like Negan, let's say, and you had Rick and you had all the others and they had all the guns and they had everything, everybody, like let's say Glenn, Abraham were still there, that stuff, you get the sense that group probably could have taken them out. Like that group probably could have dealt with them because you had everybody, right? But now it's like you got this skeleton crew of awesome, hardcore Walking Dead survivors, and it's just like they just don't have it anymore after all the years and all the people they've lost and everything to deal with this kind of threat. They just are totally, completely overwhelmed, I would say, and completely out of their element, at least at this time is what it looks like. So that's my review for Open Your Eyes. Amazing episode. I never thought that, because you only have so many Ricks and Daryls and characters like that, but I never thought I could enjoy seeing like, a Sadiq type of episode like this, where he's really the lead of this one with Dante, I'd say, so much. I mean, I'm really impressed. They did an incredible job, man. So, love this first half. I think this episode made it way better, and it really brought a lot of those things happening, and add replay value, because you can watch it back and look for weird stuff Dante's doing, or different looks, or things like that, or his mouth and stuff like that, and kind of get a different read on it. So I think it's amazing, man. Let me know what you guys thought. Leave your comments below. And, of course, I'll be back pretty soon for my predictions for what I think is going to happen in the mid-season finale, because next week's episode 8, is the mid-season finale of The Walking Dead Season 10. Can't wait to see it. Maybe we'll get to see Negan again. Yeah, I hope so. So let me know what you guys think. If you like this review, man, thumb it up below. Wow, what a mind-blowing episode. And I'll see you guys back in soon. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you.